Hey, Sanders.
Hey, how you doing?
Because you always I was taught in law school, this is the way it works. This is how we did all this. Like all this gets dug out. It's whatever happens. This week is going to be different from last week.
Just back, you can see, still see.
All right, I think everybody's settled down now. I'll call our meeting to order. At this time, I'll offer an invocation, and immediately following, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Heavenly Father, we ask that you would continue to bless us and keep us. Continue to make your face to shine upon us. We ask for you to continue to be gracious unto us. And may your peace continue to keep our hearts and minds focused on you, our Lord and Savior. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the business agenda. Ask everyone if they'd have an opportunity to review the agenda. If nobody has any conflicts, I ask that at this time we would entertain a motion to approve it. Motion is by Councilman Bell. Do we hear a second to his motion? Second by Councilman Jackson. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The agenda will be approved as it is presented. Next, under special recognition, we have one individual that signed up, and I can't find my paper. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we have somebody to sign up? Okay. All right, okay. I don't have that on. All right, you come on and we'll take care of that first. Okay. All right.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens. As we approach the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 2026, America 250 NC invites all North Carolinians to take part in a powerful national moment of reflection and unity, Two Lights for Tomorrow. On April 18, 2025, communities across the United States will join together to honor the spirit of cooperation and courage that helped ignite the American Revolution. Inspired by Paul Revere's legendary Midnight Ride and the signal lanterns hung in Boston's Old North Church in 1775, one if by land, two if by sea, this initiative remembers the vital role early Americans played in defending liberty and preparing for a better future. By placing two lights in the darkness, we commemorate not only a pivotal moment in history, but also our shared commitment to working together for the common good. In this spirit, America 250 NC encourages every county courthouse, town hall, school and community center, historic site, and household to display two lights on April 18, 2025 as a visible symbol of our unity, remembrance, and hope for tomorrow. A proclamation has been drafted to proclaim April 18, 2025 as Two Lights for Tomorrow Day in the city of Roanoke Rapids. And I believe the mayor is going to read that now.
Okay, I'll just read it from up here. From the city of Roanoke Rapids, proclamation, Two Lights for Tomorrow Today. Day. Whereas the city of Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina recognizes the importance of commemorating the signing of the Declaration of Independence, a milestone that embodies our nation's founding ideals of equality, liberty, and justice. And on the night of April the 18th, 1775, Paul Revere undertook a perilous midnight ride to warn Samuel Adams and John Hancock of the impending British troop movements, a pivotal moment that helped ignite the American Revolution. And whereas Revere's famous ride was preceded by the hanging of two lanterns in the Old North Church steeple, signaling to if by sea, to indicate the British approach by water, a code that has become an enduring symbol of the American vigilance and preparedness. And Revere's journey alerted the local militia and citizens, exemplifies the spirit of community and shared responsibility that has defined our nation since its inception. Whereas the actions of Revere and fellow riders, William Dawes and Dr. Samuel Prescott, led to the battles of Lexington and Concord, marking the beginning of the armed conflict in the American Revolutionary War. And whereas the city of Roanoke Rapids pledges its support to the America 250 NC commemoration and encourages participation in community events and programs that promote patriotism, unity, and reflection on our collective history. And the Two Lights for Tomorrow initiative, a nationwide campaign to commemorate the 205th birthday of the United States of America, unifies us in remembrance of our shared history, honoring the sacrifices made by those who fought for our independence and the values we hold dear. And as a part of the national initiative, Two Lights for Tomorrow, the city of Roanoke Rapids will display two lights at the City Hall on April the 18th, 2025, to honor and draw inspiration from Paul Revere's historic ride to unite Americans in reflection, celebration, and service. And whereas other government agencies, local businesses, and residents are encouraged to participate by displaying two lights on April the 18th, 2025. Now, I, Emory Dowdy, Mayor of the City of Roanoke Rapids, do hereby proclaim April the 18th, 2025, as Two Lights for Tomorrow Day in the city of Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina, on this day, 15th of April, 2025. Even though it's been 250 years ago, we are still grateful for people that had the initiative to, so many of them gave their life, and it was life-changing for so many more, some in good ways, I'm sure, and some in bad ways, but we still owe them a tremendous debt for being able to be where we are today in this country. Ms. Johnson has signed up for unscheduled public comment. Good evening.
Two weeks ago, I was here asking about chickens in the city limits, and the next day I presented you all with some homework that was given to me right after the meeting about city ordinances and different animals that are allowed and not allowed. And then after that, I was given more homework by some people that called, so that's what you have before you tonight. And if you have any questions.
Well, I guess most people are probably like me. I hadn't really had a chance to look through it and read it, but didn't we just get it tonight? Okay.
Yeah. It has Greenville city ordinances, Raleigh, and then as well as the rest of the cities in North Carolina that allow chickens and livestock in city limits. As well as bird flu information, which chickens, it's rare for them to get the bird flu since they are in mostly the coastal aviary. So I know we have seagulls around here and osprey, but the chances of them coming in your yard in the city, I mean, I know they're in the parking lot next to Hux's, but they're not going to come in the yards. Unless you're feeding them.
Does anybody have any questions they would need to ask Ms. Johnson this evening? I know that the city manager has done some research and is conferring with council members. We don't have it on our agenda, so we will not vote on anything this evening, but I have spoken to her before the meeting, just saw that you had signed up to speak, and she has given me information that she would be back in touch with you about the council decision in a timely manner.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, approval of the council minutes. Need a motion when somebody's ready.
May I make a motion to approve the April 1st, 2025 regular city council meetings as drafted?
Okay, motion on the floor is by Mr. Stainback. Second to his motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Strickland. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Minutes would be approved. Under new business, I'll call on Mr. Chalker.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens. I have the first two items. Excuse me, I'll get cleared up here in a minute. The first item, 7A, is a consideration of a resolution approving surplus items to be sold by electronic auction and specifically gov deeds. The attached resolution number 2025.05 is for your review and consideration, and I'm requesting that you adopt 2025.05 to officially declare these items attached as surplus and authorize the sale by electronic auction. And if you look on the page where the resolution lists these items, there's 8 different items that were listed to go up on gov deals. If you remember, most recently we had about 6 items to go up for sale on gov deals. There was 2 pieces of equipment and some other various things, and those items brought over $20,000. So gov deals is a good marketplace for us. We've been very successful with that. And with that, I would answer any questions that you might have.
If nobody has any questions, we need a motion on.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025.05 to officially declare the items as surplus and authorize the sale by electronic auction.
Second.
Okay, the motion's by Councilman Strickland and second by Councilman Stainback. Is there any more discussion? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. Motion will be approved. Mr. Chalk, I believe you have the next item also.
I do, Mayor. Item 7B is a consideration of a resolution declaring surplus property and authorizing the property to be sold by Enterprise Fleet Management. The resolution is attached for your review and consideration as 2025.06, and we're requesting to officially declare these items as surplus property. Turning the page to those items, there's 11 vehicles that we've identified as adequate to be sold through the Enterprise Marketplace. And by doing so, we think we can realize the maximum value on the sale of these vehicles.
These are vehicles that we bought, correct? But they're selling them to us.
Yes, sir. We bought these for some time ago. Some of them have a little bit higher mileage on them, but they fit into the slot that Enterprise is looking for and that their market demands, and we feel like that's going to be the best place to sell these. And of course, the funds from the sale will come immediately back to us.
Okay. Anybody got any questions of Mr. Chalker? We need another motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025.03
such property and authorize the property to be sold by Enterprise Fleet Management in accordance with NCGS 1608-266.
Okay, motion is by Councilman Bell. Do his second to his motion? Second by Councilman Jackson. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion will be approved. Recreation.
Good evening. I am coming before you today to talk about Brightspeed. We have been approached by Brightspeed about doing some sponsorships, and we gave them several different choices of things, and they had an interest in the Emory Skate Park, and so they desire to make a donation to help fund Emory Skate Park. And you have the agreement that has been reviewed by our city attorney. And they want to donate $15,000 in sponsorship, and they would have portion of the skate park. They would have some naming rights. They would get recognition in some media outlets. And then the only other major thing in the agreement would be that we would not accept sponsorships from competitors just at Emory Park for a 10-year period. That doesn't exclude us from accepting funding for other projects at other places from competitors. But we just wanted to bring this before you so that, we can kind of keep moving forward with the Emory Park project and ask for your approval of this.
Wait, you got a question?
You said there's a 10-year limit on other sponsorships, even for other type events, or
Just at Emory Park, as far as so competitors, so people who are like internet providers and that sort of thing. So just their direct competitors, we would not have Brightspeed and then another internet provider on the skate park specifically, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't have an internet provider do something at Ledgerwood or Chalkyot or any other place within the city.
Okay, I just wanted to understand because, so you're saying if the skate park is successful, but there are other projects that come along at Emory Park, we could get sponsorships for them for those additional things that may come up, but we wouldn't be able to accept internet providers as sponsorships for those items, right?
Yes, because it says specifically in here, Emory Skate Park.
Okay.
And we made sure we worded that way.
The specific exclusive categories there on page 2, it's the little 3 bullet points that you'll see there on page 2 of the agreement. Internet and Wi-Fi providers, home and business telephone communication products and services, and wireless telephone communication providers. So that's the limitations on who could have sponsorship rights for the next 10 years there at Emory Park.
But this is, so my question is this just on the skate park, or is this on all of Emory Park?
It would be on Emory Park, yes.
So what happens after 10 years? Does it go up for bid at that time, or do we just do
Well,
away with Brightspeed at that time, or how does that work?
We wouldn't necessarily do away with Brightspeed, but if there were additional things that needed to be done to the skate park, then we could open up to these companies as well.
Right.
It just, that exclusivity just expires naturally at the end of 10 years.
Okay.
It wouldn't preclude us from getting money from like tourism, anything like
No.
that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Any other company, any other, Dominion or any other company that we typically get donations from, it would not exclude them, just their direct competitors.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, if nobody else has any questions, y'all are comfortable, we need a motion to move forward with it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the sponsorship agreement between the city of Roanoke Rapids and Brightspeed and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
Okay, the motion by Councilman Jackson, do you hear a second to his motion? Second by Councilman Bell. Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion will be approved. Thank you, Ms. Daughtry.
Thank you, and we want to thank Brightspeed for their donation.
Yes, by all means. City Manager's report?
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and just to follow up on that, just like to recognize our Parks and Rec Department for, and all of our city departments, but, you know, we rely on, especially Parks and Recreation, we rely on sponsorships and contributions from community organizations, and so we appreciate the generosity and those efforts to contribute to a community-driven project. A few things going on here, and I'm not going to take too much time because the department heads will provide you with some information tonight as well, and you have their written reports in your packets, but just to kind of go through some items of business here, just as a reminder to the citizens that on this upcoming Friday, the city of Roanoke Rapids will recognize the Good Friday holiday, and our offices will be closed this Friday in observance of that holiday, and want to wish everyone a happy Easter to all on Sunday the 20th. Really in the city, we're in a major project right now with our budgeting and finance operations. The city council in the last couple of years has approved us to transfer from our old systems to a new system, and so the OpenGov system that was approved by the city council for funding has been this. It's not like when you go to purchase a product, they don't just bring you a computer and say, here it is. It's actually custom built internally, and there's a lot of bells and whistles and everything, but we will officially transfer over to the OpenGov platform at the end of this month to go live later. And so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving pieces, and our staff are doing this while doing their other, their routine jobs and obligations as well. And so we appreciate the patience and understanding. It's been over 10 years since we switched over to a new system, and we're really excited about it. And part of this, our fiscal year 26 budget will be presented out of the new system here in the next coming weeks. So the OpenGov program, we're getting ready to fully implement that, and training sessions have been completed as well. And talking about the FY26 budget, the League of Municipalities did recently release its memo on tax distributions and provides year-over-year analysis over changes in the revenue streams with projections extending into the next fiscal year. This document doesn't tell us exactly what our revenues are going to be. We have to interpret the graphic representation and the information that comes along with it and apply it to our local situation, because many revenue resources are impacted by your population counts and some other things. And so we have to apply that analysis to our local situation to get an idea of what we can estimate our anticipated revenues will be based on those tax resources. And speaking of the budget, we have received everything from the department heads as we're in the middle of this OpenGov transition program. We're a little bit delayed in sharing it with you, but we're still on schedule. But some of the overall themes from the requests from the departments kind of fall into several different categories, but really kind of the overall themes are having to do with the aging infrastructure and deferred maintenance over time, trying to keep up with the things that with our physical needs, and then impacts on user experience and safety, efficiency and the operational improvements, financial constraints and prioritization, and then community benefit and engagement. And so we're working hard to look into all that, but ultimately our revenues are going to dictate what our expenditures will be, and other things that need to be paid for, we'll have to find some alternative financing routes. But just like every other budget year, we look and see what we can do in the appropriate amount of time and try and get those things done. Pleased to report that an offer of an employment was accepted for the Main Street Director position. Our candidate will begin full-time by late June. There's a relocation involved, and so there will be some part-time opportunities starting May 1st for the mandatory training program provided by the state Main Street program. On Wednesday, May the 7th, we'll have our mandatory open enrollment for employee benefits at Kirkwood Adams. We have received our renewal rates from our insurance company on that, and as we expected, there are some increases, but we're working through those to make it as manageable as possible. And then also with Human Resources, along with OpenGov, we're transitioning over to NeoGov as well. So Human Resources, payroll, and then the financial pieces will concurrently go live in the next month or two. The Public Works Department continues leaf collection, but we ask the residents to bag their leaves. Loose leaf collection has ended for the season and will resume again in the fall. The Fire Department is also throughout town testing hydrants. That is underway to help ensure our protection citywide. And then upcoming next week, the library will have a craft on Tuesday, the 22nd at 4:30. It's a great opportunity for folks, especially the students that are on spring break next week. And then again, I mentioned this last week, but we desperately need lifeguards for the upcoming summer season to operate our outdoor pool. And so any interested persons need to contact either HR or the Aquatic Center. And then again, staff are continuing to solicit bids for the remediation of the efforts of the dilapidated building downtown. Staff solicited bids and none were received. Well, I should say one response was received, but it was to decline on the opportunity. And so we're going to have to cast the net out further to get an idea of the estimate of cost to remediate the unsafe conditions there at 2nd and Roanoke Avenue. Subject to any questions that you may have, that concludes my report.
Were you going to say anything about the police department?
Well, the police department, they're answering calls and activities, but they are getting ready to transfer over to the e-court system, so there will be some electronic compliance there. We've had to buy some printers and all for the computers, and for the cars, but there are going to be some needs that we have, and we're assessing those needs to determine what we need to comply with that aspect of it.
And we anticipate having that done by late April as indicated on this?
Well, the e-court starts in April.
So,
May 1st, right?
so I can speak to that.
Okay.
So, because believe me, it affects me too. I believe that April 28th is the day when our clerk's office is going to close. And I think there's a period of about 3 days when they're going to be dark and they're not going to be doing anything, and then they'll reopen. And I can't remember if the reopen date is April 28th or if that's the so to speak go dark date. But it's a big transition. It's the biggest transition I've ever seen in the court system, and I've been practicing law for 17 years, and I can only imagine what it's going to be like for law enforcement officers who are the first person a lot of times that are going to be kind of initiating criminal charges and things like that, and everybody's going to have to use the system. So it's going to be something, I think it's going to end up being very good for the public, and they're going to be very happy with the level of service that it provides, but it is going to be a transition, and so everybody's going to have a little bit of patience with everyone as they kind of make that move. But I know I've been to a bunch of training. I'm sure that the officers have as well.
So we have the equipment we need to start. That's my question.
To the best,
I'm not sure there's any real new equipment that's going to be there unless it's maybe like an extra scanner or an extra printer or something like that. It's mostly on the software kind of side of the back ends that things use when a charge is filed or when a magistrate sets a bond or things like that. So that kind of integration of our local government systems here at the city and our local police department with the state systems that like our magistrates have to use. So.
Okay. Anybody have any additional questions? If not, we'll move on to the finance director.
Good evening. For March 2025, the year-to-date receipts around 16.5 million, and the year-to-date expenditures around 14.2 million, leaving revenues exceeding expenditures by 2.3 million. However, for the month, that was negative, so we need to be conscientious of our spending, because we still have the May theater payment to make and administrative and operational requirements that we have to be able to pay for. So, does anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions of the finance director? All righty. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
So we're gonna have each department head give the report tonight? Is that what we're gonna, okay. We're gonna start, Larry.
Good evening again. First, I'll start out mentioning that asphalt resurfacing by local contractor Reitmeyer Machine Rental started down on First Street last Tuesday. So they have excavated some of the problem in the center of the street to stabilize that, and then once they have that stable, they're going to come back and resurface that street. So much needed. That was a pretty rough ride down through there for people that live in that neighborhood. Also, our crews have been pretty busy this week cutting grass and grooming the cemetery grounds, sort of getting it open for the spring and the summer grass growing season. So we've had a lot of work over there to get that in shape, and we like to have it looking good for holidays, for family coming to visit those graves. Our street department workers have been next door at Fire Station 1 assisting an outside vendor with preparing to construct a new concrete entrance into the back of the fire station. Once finished, this new concrete structure will much better support the heavier fire engines that we run up and down the roads now. The asphalt had become pretty weak back there, and it started to give in some. As the city manager mentioned, leaf season actually had an extension due to some weather events, but it has ended. So we are repeatedly asking citizens to bag or box their leaves or their clippings. And we're picking up bags at a pretty high volume right now and getting them off the streets from in front of people's homes. One other item, Thursday the 17th, we will be sending 3 of our trucks to Manning Elementary School for Career Day. So we're going to send a sweeper, a trash truck, and a bucket truck over for the kids to check them out. So I don't know if anybody's heard about that, but that seems to be pretty exciting for the kids. And answer any questions that you might have.
I asked you a while back when you were talking about getting the bids on the paving, did we have money in the budget to do that? And I think you said no, but we were going to do it and pay for it and take it out. I mean, I don't remember being the money in the budget for this year.
There was $280,000
okay.
in the budget, and we're basically taking the Powell bill allocation and spending it directly on the streets.
Okay, so that's how we're going to spend the Powell bill money.
We're going to
and the $200,000.
We've made a commitment at this point to take Powell bill funds each year and spend it directly on the streets.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
Now there are some years, inevitably with the shape of our streets, where we're going to need more than what the Powell bill gives us, but that's a good start. As opposed to before we might do $80,000 worth, or we might do $100,000 worth, but in today's economy, $100,000 is not a lot of asphalt.
And I understand that, but generally when we have to spend money that's not in the budget, we have to have a budget amendment. Is that not correct?
We do, but this was part of the budget.
Okay.
This was part of the budget amendment that we passed for the budget. So this
and the same goes for the the driveway at the fire department. Was that an emergency, or was that in the budget?
That was budgeted funds. He
okay.
had that in his budget, so it's stable funds.
Okay, good deal.
Anytime we go outside that budget, we'll be up here asking for more.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Daltrey?
Good evening again. I gave you guys a copy of this PowerPoint, and I just kind of wanted to go over the last 6 months. I know you get a copy of our monthly report, our snapshot, but I feel like, kind of if we compile a 6-month time frame from September to February, our things usually fall like fall, winter, and then spring, summer. So last October, I had talked about March through August, and so I would like to kind of talk about how we did for fall through winter, September through February. If you look at the second slide, it does have our weekly and monthly programs. These are some highlights of things. I just took a few items that we have at each of our facilities that go on kind of on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. And then also you can see the pictures here. I did try to include some pictures. The top picture included the Aqua Zumba class that we have at the Aquatic Center, and the bottom picture is story time at the library. As far as athletics, we have, even in the fall and winter, we had 686.5 traffic hours, and that's, foot traffic on our athletic fields, and that included soccer, travel softball, fall baseball, flag football, tackle football, and inside we had youth basketball and adult basketball. For seasonal and special programming, these are extra things that we kind of do during the fall and winter season, which of course includes like the Christmas parade, Christmas at the Canal, Christmas on the Avenue, all of our Halloween events, our 5K. We did a ping pong tournament this year, and the picture that you see at the top left includes a family member, 2 family members who had won the ping pong tournament, and then at the bottom is a picture from the Roanoke Canal 5K. For our parks and maintenance, we maintain 115 acres of parks and facilities. 162 maintenance requests were completed from September through February. We had 44 Kirkwood events and setups. We replaced a pool pump, 2 pool heaters, the tires on the senior center van and bus. We painted the multi-purpose room to make that more inviting at TJ Davis. We replaced half of the foggy windows at Kirkwood and all of the foggy windows at TJ Davis. We painted the hallway and banquet hall at Kirkwood. We replaced HVAC unit at Kirkwood and 2 at the library. We also cleaned out the maintenance area behind TJ Davis and installed equipment shelter. These are all completed projects that we were given money for in this budget, and we are currently working on replacing scoreboards. They are, and that will be at Chalk Yacht and Ledgerwood, and those are supposed to be replaced this Friday and Saturday at both locations. And then for the old tennis court at Rochelle, 3 pickleball courts are in the process of being completed in that area, but they weren't completed, so I didn't put those on here. These were all things that have already been completed. The next page is impact. So kind of to sum up all the things that we do, we had 112,550 contacts, and that's interactions with people through all of our different programs and athletics. And if you look at the pie chart, you can see for these fall, winter months where those contacts were. 35% were at TJ Davis Recreation Center, 7% at Kirkwood Adams, 9% at Joe Story Senior Center, 4% at the Lloyd Andrews Building, 4% at the Chris Wicker Aquatic Center, 13% with athletics, 8% at the Chichester Memorial Library, 13% at the Roanoke Canal Museum and Trail, 4% was the parade, and 3% at the J.H. Challoner Recreation Center. We had 357 hours rented at Kirkwood Adams, and there was 191 reservations at TJ Davis, Parks, Kirkwood, Aquatics, Challoner, and Lloyd Andrews from September to February. As far as non-city resources, I kind of broke it out for our financial resources. In financial resources, from the beginning of the fiscal year through February, we had received $228,487.17, and this is a combination of monetary donations, donated labor, sponsorships, occupancy tax, grants, and grants. As far as volunteer hours, we have had 5,829 hours. In North Carolina, the value of a volunteer in 2023 was listed as $31.64 per hour, and that equates to $184,429.56. So if you combine our non-city resources through February, that's $412,916.73. So I just want to make sure, I always try to make sure that I show a lot of appreciation to our staff. I stand here and I tell you this information, but we have a lot of staff that work very hard, so I really want to give thanks to our full-time staff, our part-time staff, all of our volunteers that we have help with all of our programs and athletics, the local businesses that contribute through sponsorships, and also the Halifax County Convention and Visitors Bureau for the occupancy tax that we do receive. Also, I had given you a copy of, this is hot off the press, you're the first people to get it. We've not even posted it. This is the brochure for our camps coming up this summer that Ashley had been working on, and these camps have been finalized. And then also you do have a flyer for our archery academy that will be on April the 25th. I've been trying to, when we have new flyers and things, give those to Tracy to put up there for you, so you kind of see what we have and what we're promoting and the dates of the programs. That's all I have, unless you have some questions.
All right. You got a question?
When will the pickleball courts be available at Rochelle?
We got a call today, and after the asphalt was laid, they had to wait 30 days for it to cure. And so they are making plans to come and start marking that off and lining it, doing the paint. So it will be completed before June the 30th, as required by the Halifax County Convention and Visitors Bureau, but I don't have a specific date. Weather can change things also.
Right. Do we anticipate providing any type training for people in the community that would like to learn how to play the sport?
Yes, so what we are planning to do is we're planning to have an app for people who want to play, so that they can sign up and know when there are time slots for that. And then, as we have that go, open this summer, then we can kind of do some clinics and that sort of thing to help people learn. There are a lot of people that come to the senior center who are not 55 and older to use that, one court. That's the only court that we have that's designated for pickleball. We do have other places at tennis courts lined, but that is the right height of the net and that sort of thing. So I think that it's going to be popular once we're able to get it completed.
That's why I was asking.
So something else that we,
Definitely be.
yes, and we do have a family in town that they played a lot of tennis when they grew up, and they are going to be donating benches for the pickleball court. They, are really glad that area is going to be revitalized, and so they wanted, to participate. So I think that it's going to be really nice with the occupancy tax funding and, some other things that we hope to do in the future to make that park better.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Chief Wiggins?
Good evening.
Good evening.
In your package, you have the report we put out monthly stating what our stats are for the department as far as law enforcement activity goes. But some things I'd like to highlight. First off, I want to, just give a shout out to the officers at the police department. They're doing a lot even though, we have a couple of vacancies that we're working to fill, and quite a few are putting in a lot of time, and I just wanted them to know I see it, the community sees it, and I know you all see it too. So I just wanted to say that publicly. We have a couple of community events coming up. As you all know, we have the Citizens on Patrol, which is overseen by Captain Williams. They had a fundraising fish fry which was scheduled for last Friday. Unfortunately, due to the weather, they've rescheduled it to May 2nd. So we hope you all push that out, and we'd really like to see the community get involved. May is Safe Kids Safe Month, so we have a hot car display that will be posted up around the city throughout the month of May. That will bring awareness to the importance of leaving children in a car, and for some, their animals as well. Also, on April 26th, Safe Kids, in conjunction with the Halifax County Narcotics and Gang Task Force, which we have 2 officers assigned to, will be conducting a medicine drop at the Walmart. And again, that's Saturday, April 26, 2025. So if you know anyone in the community that has any expired medication that they do not, need, or they can dispose of it there safely. In June, the details will be coming later, but in June we have the police camp, and the first week of August we have our National Night Out, which is in the stages of being planned as we speak. So all these are things that we invite the community to be a part of. We would love, to continue to foster relationships with those in the community, not just when we have to respond for enforcement actions, but we want to ensure the people that we're not there just for enforcement, but we're there, as brothers and sisters who live and, work in this community. So.
Anybody have any question for the chief? If not, thank you for your report.
Thank you, sir.
Evening.
Good evening. How are y'all?
Good.
Mayor, council, citizens. Well, we're just here to talk about a busy part of the year for the fire service. I know we're coming out of winter, and you would think things would start calming down for us, but this is a time of the year that we try to get a lot done before it gets too hot, such as testing all the fire hose on each truck. Last month they tested over 8,000 feet of fire hose. Some of that was even some of the newer hose that we received with the most recent grant that we received from FEMA. We've also been, as Ms. Tranum spoke of earlier, we've started our hydrants. Now this year the procedure is a little bit different. We hopefully are not stirring the water up quite as much as we have in the past. We have been working with the water department for, the last 3 or 4 years to go to a new system which is called water modeling. And when they do that, that keeps us from having to flow so much water out of the hydrants, which therefore does not stir up the water quite as bad, so we don't have as many complaints on dirty water, citizens washing clothes and messing up their white clothes, with the muddy water and things like that. So that's something that us working alongside of the sanitary district, we were able to get to help out in our community. And of course, when ISO comes, that's going to help us tremendously too. So we should be able to receive 100% credit in our grading process, which in the past we have not been able to do so. Some more good news is that our second engine has arrived in Rocky Mount. It's been there for about 2 weeks now. Unfortunately, we still don't have a good date on when it will be in Roanoke Rapids because we have 5 other trucks that are ahead of us at this point. If you all remember during that time frame when we ordered those trucks, it was a lot of other municipalities and fire departments order them as well. So we're about 5 behind right now. So, but it is in Rocky Mountain Fire Connections at this time, and so we will keep you all updated on the projected arrival. I'm guessing sometime probably towards the middle to end of May. So. And last but not least, we've got our Veterans Breakfast. I would like to remind y'all of that coming up on May the 2nd. I think that'll come before we meet again. I had flyers printed off to bring to you, and I left them on my desk in my office, so I will try to get them to you later this week. Feel free to print them off or to make copies and hang them up in anywhere in your businesses or church or anywhere. So far, I think we're up to about 60-some veterans that already have registered with us. Last year, of course, has been the biggest year so far, which was our 3rd annual. We had about a little over 100 veterans to come to it. So I encourage you all to come. Those of you that weren't there last year to at least come and, be able to see the event. It's something that we never knew that would take off as much as it has, and it's doing, I'm just tickled with the amount of support we get from the community, the business community, and the individuals in our community that are helping recognize these veterans. So, subject to any questions, that's my report.
Right,
Thank you.
Sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens. I'd like to provide a couple highlights that I think are pretty notable for the Planning and Development Department. First, I'd like to talk about Stateside Landing. As you may know, a lot of you are familiar with it already. It is a project of development located on East Littleton Road, also known as Highway 158 to some. The project consists of 3 multifamily apartment buildings, a community building, and a playground. The development has an overall building valuation of $7.4 million. Current inspection status on that project, they are almost complete with all of the sheathing for all structures and are about to start working on rough ends of all the other trades. Let's see. The same developer and contractor for Stateside Landing are scouting at another property here in Roanoke Rapids. So the property will be adjacent to our current Stateside Landing on Highway 158 East Littleton Road. If you're familiar to where King's Deli is located, right on the corner at Roanoke Avenue and 48, it's right there on the corner, right next to that property. They are proposing a 60-unit multifamily apartment complex with a community building and a playground. So it will mimic Stateside Landing that's currently under construction. However, they do have to get funding approval. So they're in the first stages of that process right now. This will be a little bit smaller lot, so the property and the structures will be slightly smaller, but they will consist of 3, 2, and 1-bedroom apartments, and they are income restricted. They're looking to name this, if it's funded, the Brookfield Point. So hopefully more information will come about that project soon. The River's Edge subdivision, many of you may also know it as the Canal Walk, is getting a lot of attention lately. We've had contractors reach out about permitting processes and doing due diligence about all the requirements for plan review and things like that. Well, as of Friday, April the 11th, we received 15 sets of residential dwelling permits, building plans, and zoning permits. Based on what we've reviewed so far, the homes are ranging from 2,200 to 4,000 square feet. All of the homes come with an attached garage, and the estimated valuation for all 15 dwellings is $7.1 million.
Kristen, excuse me.
Yes.
Ms. Anderson, would you please repeat where that is located?
The River's Edge subdivision?
Oh, no.
Stateside
talking about the
Landing.
River's Edge.
Oh, okay. River's Edge subdivision, it's located off of 7th Street on Old Farm Road.
But you received the 15 building permits
Yes, I
in that
received.
subdivision. Okay.
Yes, I received
Well,
15.
All of them from same county.
Yep. The contractor for that is National Home Corporation, so that's who we've received them from. We've been working with them. I've done a lot of due diligence, a lot of emails back and forth with them over the past couple weeks, but as of Friday, they submitted them all at one time. So my inspectors are going to be really busy. Meanwhile, Cross Creek subdivision, I know I've been back and forth about it for a couple years now. The owner and developer, Winmore LLC, has proposed for 71 townhomes. The subdivision has been approved. We were waiting on some confirmation from NCDOT. We were finally able to work out any of the details for that, for the roadway improvement. The owner has requested a 90-day extension on the roadway bond. It's a $250,000 bond, but they've requested DOT to allow them to start construction with a 90-day extension. NCDOT has agreed to do that, stipulating that they do not issue any COs during that time until the bond is paid. We agree to those terms. We think that that's fair across the board for that. So they'll be drafting that up, and we'll be having that in place to protect DOT, the city of Roanoke Rapids, and the applicant. The estimation of those building permits for 71 townhomes, this estimation is based off of the North Carolina building valuation data that we receive from the state. So this may vary, but as of right now, at the lower end, we're looking at $10.8 million in valuations. Express Oil Change, which is located behind the KFC on Premier Boulevard. The inspectors have done underslab, electrical and plumbing were completed, and they are currently working on their sewer connections. Laurel Glen, assisted living facility, is located at 115 Clearfield Drive. Recently, they've submitted some renovation plans for the building. It hasn't undergone a renovation in a while, so they definitely needed that. They're making some slight site alterations, which will include repaving the parking lot and relocating one of their dumpsters. This is all to make it ADA compliant and things like that. Those plans were reviewed and approved, and the permits should be issued any day now. The total project valuation is roughly $3.1 million. Subject to your questions, that concludes my report.
It sounds like about $25 million from
I'm
what you were saying
working
on
on it.
that. How much of that are we gonna get tax money off of?
I can find out. I can find out for you.
Well, that's a big deal.
It is. That's why they saved me for last today.
Because when you said they were income restricted, some of the apartment, I know the houses would be taxable.
Mhm.
But if you could find out, I mean, that's a big
Yeah,
deal.
I will work on that. I will
Okay.
work on that for you, so. Yes, ma'am.
Apartments are going to be available at Stateside Landing?
At the one that's currently under construction, it's 64 units, and they will consist of 3, 2, and 1 bedroom units.
And are those income limited also?
They are. They're income restricted. So basically what is saying, just, to elaborate on that, is there's going to be a threshold amount of how much you make. It's not, they may accept vouchers, but it's not limited to just vouchers or anything like that. So it's on an income-based, it's a tax credit program that they identify. They'll do the same process if they're funded for the new project that they're looking at doing, but it'll be a little bit higher scale. So those rents may be more adjustable for that.
Saying that the new one, the ceiling may be a little bit higher.
Correct.
And the bottom may be a little
Right.
bit higher.
Right. One thing the developer was concerned about is, because there's usually a gap. Some people can't afford to go and buy a house, some people can't, or there's, Section 8 housing and things like that gap in between, and that's what they want to address, is some of that, and to try to get some good housing here, some good quality housing for those people in that gap, so.
So it's basically looking at your people who are working, but they.
Correct.
Right there in that gap.
Right.
And the income qualification is also dependent upon the family size
Yes.
and how many persons are working. So like a single if it's a one-income earner household and they have 3 kids, they could easily, there's a,
Right.
the working, it's really supposed to help, your mid-range, lower to mid-range income
Right.
that are in that, but it's to make it affordable and also to help with, we know that there's housing that needs to be improved, but you can't get rid of, you can't displace people and move them out of one situation without having somewhere for them to go.
Right.
And so this is a real positive sign here, like with this development. We haven't had a family housing development by the tax credit program in about 20 years. And so this is a really positive sign for our community. It's needed. These tax credit developments typically are taxable properties, unlike some of the some other affordable housing categories. So if it's like all the other ones we have in town, they are taxed. And so that would be based on the assessment formula.
Okay, that
Yeah,
it?
good.
Thank you. I
Thank you
appreciate
all.
it. I think that's everybody. Is anything else need to come before the council tonight?
Mayor, I do have something briefly.
Yes, sir.
This isn't on the agenda, and it's something that's just kind of, it's just come up recently, although it's kind of prompted. Those have all expired, and so currently, there are 3 spaces in there. One of them is being occupied by CADA. One of them is being occupied by the county doing their WIC program. And then there's another space that is vacant right now that was formerly used by the Boys and Girls Club. There's been some interest from the county about expanding their footprint in that building because they need the space. They'd like to expand the space that they devote to the WIC program. The city really hasn't used that property. Essentially, it's been leased out. I know it's used for voting by the Board of Elections when it comes voting time a lot of times. But what I wanted to report to council is that there has been some interest from the county about potentially offering to purchase that piece of property from the city. And so I wanted to make council aware of that. There's not been any numbers kind of put back and forth yet. But I wanted to kind of put it on your radar. I think that the county attorney has also kind of put it on the county commissioner's radar. If he hasn't, he will soon. Just say that there are some discussions being had about trying to put a valuation on that and maybe bring it to council and kind of investigate if that is an interest there. As I said, it's up to council as far as what council decides to do. It's our piece of property, but essentially the city really doesn't, the only thing, we don't house any city offices there. We do get a benefit from it in that we charge rent for those organizations that lease it. And in fact, probably what really this is kind of the playing out of a discussion that was really motivated probably mostly by the GASB changes as far as how we had to list our liabilities and things, and taking a look at all city property as far as, that's rented to make sure that we were getting fair market value or something approaching fair market value. Because a lot of the leases had not been looked at for a very manager about how best to bring it to council's attention, and I think our decision was, well, let's just go ahead and put it out here. It's not something that we could have a closed session on. But I think it is something that council needs to consider and think about and maybe talk about amongst yourselves, and then share with myself and the city manager what your thoughts are. Because it's a discussion. Like I say, it's not anything that anybody's really committed to yet, but it is a discussion that's starting to be had, and there's definite interest there. So I just wanted to put that before council. If council has any questions or thoughts right now here in the moment, being kind of it with that, certainly that this will be the time for them, but otherwise you're always free to contact me anytime as you would about anything else.
What did you say what they might want it for?
It's always difficult to put a number on, so I'm
No,
going to...
not what they want it, what do they want to do with it?
At least right now, I think the initial discussion was expanding their footprint of their WIC program into the space that was previously occupied by the Boys and Girls Club. As far as in the future, if they did take it over, what they would be looking to do with that, I don't know specifically. At that point, it would be theirs, and that would be their choice. So.
Remind me, wasn't the police department interested in part of that at one time?
There has always been I think originally it was kind of contemplated as being like a little satellite station or something there. I'm not sure that there's any equipment being housed there, but to my knowledge, it hasn't been used for that for many, many years.
And Chief Guyant, when he was here, there were some discussions or some ideas shared, but they didn't come to fruition as far as setting up occupancy in that location.
I don't know the kind of layout of it, and maybe I'm kind of talking out of order, but I don't know with the layout of it and with you having, other community organizations in there that are not city organizations. I don't know how well the police department, with all the kind of confidentiality and the higher level that they're expected to operate at as far as security, I'm not sure that here in 2025 that would really integrate as well as maybe it would have back in 1999 when it was originally conceived. If that makes sense.
It came up back years ago, and they got a grant. They had some grant money in it, and at that time, I think they said if we sold it, it might come back on us on the grant, so we need to do some research on that.
I've looked at the deeds, and all of that stuff expired,
Okay.
I think, in 2020 or 21.
Okay.
Because there were some limitations on what we had to allow certain organizations to be in there up until that point, because of the agreements and the grants that were used to construct it originally. So.
Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
Okay, if nobody got any questions, call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Stainback, second. Second by Ms. Bryant. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?